the members of the party find themselves at the Old Master Inn in the small hamlet of Sunborough after a harrowing escape from wherever, who gives a shit. This is the story of my hetero life mate, a Skype DMing session, a noob, and my campaign diary. So, I got my first chance since going to 5th edition to run for a new player. Someone who has never played Dungeons & Dragons before. Never even played a role-playing game before. And that's awesome. It's kind of difficult when you are 3/4 of the way across the country from your players. Here in the great state of Ohio, talking to everybody in California. But this is the challenge that I took up. So, let's talk about what happened. It was a little late. We were a little late in starting, and that always presents some challenges. A lot of explanation. Pretty much everything at this point had to be explained. I'm not sure if Lars shared all the videos that I told him to share, but we had to go over basic things like what a D20 was and how to use it. Our first encounter was a social encounter in a tavern, because why not? It's Dungeons & Dragons. We always start in a tavern. Not always, but it's a good place to start when you are first role-playing. Now, the first thing we encountered was the deer in the headlights syndrome. I've had this happen myself. Pretty much every role-player has had this happen. You are given the open command, "What do you do?" And suddenly, you have no idea what the hell you're going to do because you just showed up in this game. In fact, the last time that I remember this happening was when I was role-playing with my buddy when he was not so far away. He had a regular gaming group, and I went up there to join them for an adventure. I had my halfling barbarian, and we were enjoying, I was getting to the groove, I was enjoying the group, and the DM turns to me and, you wanted me to, hang on, you kind of threw me on this. I wasn't ready to jump in, and now I'm confused, and eventually I settled in and got my mojo back, and I was able to join. The thing with the new player is, it's, that's okay. Let's hold your hand slightly, and we're going to walk through this, and we're going to learn. You're going to learn, and I'm going to learn what you don't know and what you need help with. Because in the beginning, role-playing, talking in a great voice so that you could be the best character you can. Or even being a dwarf with a large hammer with which you pound away. Not going to happen. Pretty much, you have to explain that what you want your character to do, just explain and tell us what you want your character to do, and we'll have the character do it. You don't necessarily have to roleplay. You don't even have to talk as your character. You just say, my character does this. That's how you start. Now, we got to our first combat encounter, a random encounter in the forest on the first watch, which luckily my new character, Alina, an elf wizard, was on watch when a pair of eyes popped out. My roll luckily only gave her one wolf. So, when she saw the wolf, she didn't know what to do. We explained, gave some options as to what to do, because she couldn't tell it was a wolf right away because it was obscured heavily in the bushes, and she didn't roll that well. Even though she's got the dark vision, still couldn't tell exactly what it was. So, suggested throwing a firebolt. She threw one, it landed there, and startled the wolf, who went running. This gave her time to wake somebody up. We suggested something as simple as readying an action. With ready in action, if you haven't done that before, you say, if this happens, I do this. Naturally, we recommended she ready a firebolt, which promptly missed, and then allowed the wolf to jump on her and take her down to 1 hit point. Or no, it didn't miss. It hit, but only for 3 points of damage, And luckily, while I scaled the wolf back because it was a weak, emaciated wolf, which is why it attacked alone, it leapt onto her, took her down to 1 hit point. The party was able to wake up, and luckily the wolf was slain. Yay, happy, happy, joy, joy. First combat encounter, you didn't die. So quickly they healed up over the rest of the night and proceeded to the mountain. The mission was to go to a mountain and look for a dragon egg, which may be or may not be controlled by kobolds. Because first adventure in D&D, either kobolds or goblins. I'll probably throw goblins at them in the future. So after spotting a rock trap, 2 kobolds leapt out and died rather quick deaths because one was slain, one tried to run but got shot shortly thereafter. So, after the encounter, they found a chest. Our bard Hetfield, who happens to also have a criminal background so he can pick locks, managed to pop the lock rather easily, and they found a few cool things, including garnets. None were stabbed in the neck. And if you know that reference, you've seen a cool movie. Onward, they explored northward, where they found a fountain, which appeared to have some healing magic, but nobody made the rolls, and the dungeon's not over, so I can't go into further detail exactly what the fountain does. It doesn't do, however, where the source material says it does. They heard voices ahead, but then they decided to veer right into a door, where they came upon an altar with a shiny gem and a couple flaming statues. From out of nowhere, a voice boomed, "Approach with humility and live." And if you've run the adventure that I modified this from, you know exactly which adventure from which beginner box this came from. But I made some changes. For example, even though he remembered the penitent man will pass, they still walked up to the altar and all got singed. Then they figured out maybe we should duck, got to the altar, pulled the gem, and the gem I packed with a spell, a Ganazar's Scorcher, which is a 2nd level spell that basically shoots a ray of fire in one direction, which is cool. They proceeded south and found a room with some spider webs. Of course, when they went to examine the dead kobold, the spider attacked and they rather handily slew it. That's kind of where we left off. They found a cool bag of powder, they don't know what it does yet, and they're now in the spider room waiting to continue the adventure. For those of you who know, this is pretty much what they've done so far. Yes, I know it's exciting as hell, but if you know your Pathfinder, you should recognize this map from a flip mat. Not all of it matches exactly what they're going to run into. For example, this map is full of goblins. They're not going to see goblins in this adventure. So the upshot of this is we're partway through this dungeon. I've got some cool surprises for them. Of the kobold variety and maybe of the dragon variety. If you know this adventure from a certain beginner box, then you know what's waiting at the end. Although it's not exactly that. I made it smaller so they could kill it. Oh, and then I might have a bigger one. And my big bad. And a few other cool things. I don't know. I can't say too much because, unfortunately, half of the party is going to be editing this video. No spoilers or I'll kill you till you die from it. So, finally, the most important thing I can stress here. If you are a DM and you have a new player, patience. Explain things carefully. Understand that they're going to ask questions or they're going to be lost, or every time you ask for an attack, you're going to have to remind them to roll a d20. Every time for the first session, maybe some of the second session, but it's just a matter of working through it. I will tell you exactly how many sessions it takes before my elf wizard figures out exactly how to play the basics and becomes a full-fledged D&D player. Since we've all been there, I'm giving her time and I'm hoping for a new convert forever to the hobby. So until next time, try not to die.